ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। So, as you must be knowing, we will be continuing our discussion of the Purva Mimamsa philosophy, which is the outcome of the ritualistic side of the Vedic culture. What is dharma according to this philosophy? Dharma is that which is known only by means of the Vedas as being conducive to the highest good. And according to this, the sole use of the Vedas lies in directing rituals. That is the only aim of the Vedas according to Purva Mimamsa. We also saw how the Vedas are considered infallible and how words as well as the relation of the words and their meanings is also considered to be eternal, because they are all supposed to be manifestations of one primary word. So we were discussing the Mimamsa theory of knowledge, the doctrine of self-validity of knowledge, and the answer to the question, how is knowledge known? So we had discussed it last time, but some people found it difficult. That is but natural, because it was difficult. And secondly, a little background knowledge is necessary, which we didn't have, which we did not discuss. But the problem is I had to discuss this when I was discussing Purva Mimamsa, because this doctrine forms the cornerstone of the whole structure of the Mimamsa philosophy. So, self-validity of knowledge. What is validity? Validity means the certitude of truth. So, Mimamsa as well as Vedanta asserts that all knowledge, excepting the action of remembering or memory, is valid in itself, for it certifies its own truth and does not depend on any other external conditions or any other knowledge for its validity. So what is the aim behind this? Why is Purva Mimamsa stressing on this? Once we understand that, then we'll be able to understand this doctrine also. See, among the 6 methods of knowledge, very, very important one is inference, which we use every day. If we feel hot, we infer that the temperature has gone up. If we feel cold, we infer that the temperature has gone down. So these types of inferences we make hundreds of times every day. Now, what is the word for inference in Sanskrit? The word is Anumana. Mana means knowledge. Anu means that which comes after that knowledge, which follows that knowledge. So, inference is what? Knowledge which follows another knowledge. Example, the stock example is smoke and fire. So behind the hill, we see smoke rising. We cannot see anything else. We cannot see the fire. But we know that wherever there is smoke, there is bound to be fire. Smoke cannot arise of itself. In some form, fire has to be there. So seeing the smoke, we infer the fire. So fire can only be known with the help of the smoke, not directly. Okay, now if Mimamsakas admit that the knowledge of the Vedas is also dependent on inference, not directly, then what will happen? This will mean that the whole of the Vedas will be dependent on something else. It would follow that Vedas are not the authority. Only if you know something else, then the Vedas are proved right. Inference means that it is not direct knowledge. So if this was proven, then the whole philosophy of Mimamsa would fall to the ground, because it has to prove that Vedas don't require any other pramana. They are true in itself. So authority of the Vedas would become dependent on something else if it was proved that the knowledge which we get from the Vedas is based on inference. I think that is clear. So it would follow that what the Vedas tell may be true, but only because something else is true. So there is fire. Why? Because we see smoke. So the knowledge of the fire is dependent on the knowledge of the smoke, not directly. So if it was true for the Vedas, then the knowledge of the Vedas would also be dependent upon something else. But that cannot be, according to Mimamsa. So Mimamsakas have to prove that the knowledge of the Vedas is self-valid, it does not depend upon anything else. That is why they lay too much stress on this doctrine of Swatah Pramanya or self-validity of knowledge. That is the only way to prove that the Vedas are authoritative. Now, we have discussed it last time, just a little summary in different way so that it becomes clear. So how is knowledge known? When a person knows something, I know this book. With that, the knowledge of the book is there. But with that, I also know that I know this book. How do I know that I know this book? So philosophers agree that knowledge manifests itself, but they disagree as to what manifests that knowledge. What tells me that I know this book? Mimamsakas say nothing need be told at all. When I know this book, I also know that I know that book. This is called the doctrine of self-validity of knowledge. Knowledge requires no other knowledge to know it. That is the thing. When an object is known, its knowledge also becomes manifest to the knower at the same time. Why? Because it is the very nature of knowledge to reveal its object and also itself. The best example is the sun. Sun reveals everything and it also reveals itself. We don't need anything else to see the sun. So knowledge is just like that. But from this we should not assume, we should not infer that knowledge manifests itself. No. Knowledge is self-manifest. We need not think that knowledge apprehends itself. No. This only means that knowledge does not need anything else to apprehend it. That is the thing. Because we will apprehend it only with some other knowledge. No. This point we have to remember. Knowledge is not like any other thing of the world. That is what reveals everything. So this means that knowledge neither apprehends itself nor is apprehended by any other knowledge. Like sunlight, it shines of itself and does not require any other light for its manifestation. That is the thing. So Vedanta also maintains this theory. This is called the self-validity of knowledge. So it is a dual proposition. Its two parts are that the validity of knowledge is intrinsic and that the validity of knowledge is self-evident. If I know this book, nobody has to tell me that I know this book. It is self-revealing. That is the thing. So the first part means that the validity of knowledge results from those very causes which produce that knowledge. So whenever all the conditions necessary for the generation of a specific knowledge are fulfilled, there must be that knowledge and it must be valid. If my eyes are okay, if all the light in the room is okay, if everything is okay, then the knowledge of the things in the room has to reveal itself. And when it reveals itself, nobody needs to tell me. Nobody needs to tell me that I know this. The fact that I know this is also self-revealing. So, with the origination of knowledge, with the origination of prama, right knowledge, from any of the six sources, perception, inference, verbal testimony, comparison, postulation and non-apprehension. These are the six means of knowledge. Later, we will discuss that. It is a little complex. So, one by one we can take up that. So, any of the six sources of knowledge, when knowledge originates from those sources, if it is free from any deficiency, then its validity arises as a matter of course. Automatically. Nothing is needed, nothing second is needed to make that knowledge valid. This is the sum and substance of what we had discussed last time. And Mimamsa, the main thing what Mimamsakas say, that belief in the authority of the Vedas also arises in a similar way. On hearing a meaningful sentence, we at once believe in what it says, unless there are reasons for doubt. Therefore, authority of the eternal and impersonal Vedas also stands on its own legs. Its validity is self-evident and does not depend on inference. That is the thing. So this we have to understand. This is the cornerstone of not only Mimamsakas, this is the cornerstone of the whole Indian thought. Once this is contradicted, then we have nothing to stand upon. The great Shankaracharya himself says that this truth of the Upanishads cannot be known by argumentation. I may be skilled in arguing, but somebody else may come who may be better. Then he will contradict me. Third person will come who is even greater. Then what will happen? So where is the base? On what is all this founded? It is founded on Veda Vakyas. So when we read the Upanishads, you will see Shankaracharya's commentary. If you read a little, we have to read. It is absolutely unbelievable. And if you know little Sanskrit, it is absolutely, you can simply swim in bliss. So you will see there that whenever Shankaracharya proves anything by argument, he quotes a Vedic sentence in support. That I am not saying this. I am just proving what the Vedas say. That is all. So this is the cornerstone of the whole Indian Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is nothing but the Vedic religion.
Shankara Digvijaya.
And that is why Swami Vivekananda says Hindu, the term Hindu is sometimes misunderstood. Hindu itself does not mean anything. We are Vedikas. We follow the dharma of the Vedas. That is the thing. So that's why it is very important. And nearly all the branches of philosophy accept this, except Nyaya. So Nyaya does not agree, but Mimamsa has to prove that the Vedas is self-valid and it did not derive its validity even from God. That is the thing. So to do this, it has to establish the self-validity of all knowledge. So this would secure for the Veda the advantage that as soon as it tells something, the injunctions would be communicated to us and they would be accepted as valid. And then there will be nothing to contradict them. That is the thing. And that knowledge is conveyed by which pramana, which method of knowledge? Verbal testimony, which is one of the 6 pramanas. Shabda pramana or verbal testimony. So we will end this here for now. So today what will we discuss? A very, very important portion of this Mimamsa philosophy, which is nothing but the theory of karma told in another form. That is the theory of Apurva. It is quite simple, so no need for Tylenol or anything. But we will just, first of all, we will just have a glimpse into the general metaphysics of Mimamsakas. Metaphysics, you know by now, that the views about soul, God and such realities is called metaphysics. So about the soul, etc., what does the Mimamsakas say? First of all, about the world. According to the Mimamsakas, the world is very much real. All the diverse objects are very much real. If the world was not real at all, then why do so much sacrifice and go to heaven or enjoy the pleasures? There is no use. So it has to prove that the world is real. This is one thing. So it rejects the Buddhistic doctrine of Shunyavada or Kshanikavada, that everything is momentary, etc., as well as the Advaita theory. Advaita says that ultimately this is not real. Ultimately, mind you. It has a reality according to Vedanta, but ultimately it is not real. But Mimamsakas say, no, it is very much real. What do you mean ultimately not real? We will go to the heaven and drink, have some chocolate ice cream and all. You are telling that it is not real. So this is the thing about the world. And what are the souls? Jivatma. The souls are permanent, eternal substances. And so also are the material elements by the combination of which the world is made. So any object is made up of some material, that is also real. And the world is also real. And the soul is permanent and eternal. Okay? Second thing they say is the law of karma is sufficient to guide the formation of the world. No other thing is necessary, not even God. They say that action and reaction. I hit this, it rebounds. Why is God necessary for this? So no God. All things are governed by the law of karma. It is just action and reaction. So what is the world composed of? World is composed of, first of all, living bodies, souls, and our body. So each soul has a body, and that body reaps the consequences of what we do. If we do bad things, the body will suffer. If we do good things, the body will be happy. And the sensory and motor organs, which are called the indriyas, which you know. So these are the instruments for either suffering or enjoying. Indriyas are both. We think we will only have good things through the indriya. That is not possible. If we want to have the good things, the bad things will automatically come. You can't help it. Because the world is not made up of only good things. We cannot have leaves in summer and all year around. Hmm. And in India, we cannot have winter all the year around. That terrible summer is also there. So all those are experienced by what? These are experienced by our sense organs only. Hmm. So this is the thing. And then the objects of the world which constitute the fruits to be suffered or enjoyed. So soul, the body, the organs, and the objects of the world. Because it is through the objects which the soul will either receive good sensations or painful sensations. And some of the Mimamsakas also believe, like the Vaisheshikas, in the atomic theory, that everything is made up of atoms. But the difference is that Vaisheshika says that all the arrangements of atoms is done by God. Mimamsakas say no, we don't require any God. We have the Vedas. The law of karma sustains this universe. And the atoms are also guided by other things, by like any other thing, by the law of karma. So God is not necessary at all. This is the thing. Now we come to the main discussion today. This we have understood, this soul and all that. So now we can go to the main discussion. What is that? The theory of potential energy, which is Shakti, and what follows that, which is the theory of Apurva. These two are very, very important because only through these theories the Mimamsakas prove how the rituals we perform today will give us fruits maybe 20, 30 years later after we die. Now, about this theory of Shakti or potential energy in connection with the question of causation. One thing is the effect, another thing is the cause. So this chain, in relevance to this chain, the Mimamsakas formulate the theory of Shakti or potential energy. What is that? They say that a seed, we plant a seed. It sprouts, there is a small plant, maybe after that there is a big tree. How did all that come from that little seed? So Mimamsakas say, before we planted the seed, it possessed in an imperceptible form a power, a Shakti, with the help of which it can produce the sprout. Then one after another it grows into a tree maybe. When this power is obstructed or destroyed, the seed will not sprout. It is the same seed. If we fry it, it won't sprout. So what has happened when we fry the seed? They say that that power, that Shakti which was within the seed has been destroyed. So although the seed looks as it was before, but it cannot sprout. That is the thing. Similarly, they say everything, the power of burning in the fire, the power of illumination in a light, in lights and all that. Everything they say is because of the imperceptible inherent power in that substance. So why admit this power? The necessity of admitting such an unperceived potency in the cause is that it explains why in some cases the cause may be there, but the effect does not take place. Otherwise, how will you explain that after frying also the seed is there, but it does not produce that plant? Why? Something must have happened, no? In between. What has happened? What has happened is the power of the seed to produce the plant has been destroyed by that process of frying. That is a simple explanation. So, when that effect which was supposed to take does not take place, the explanation is that though the cause is there, but because its causal potency has been destroyed or overpowered temporarily, as the case may be, that's why the effect does not take place from the cause. That is the thing. So effect can take place from the cause only when the cause has that Shakti in a potential form. That is the thing. So here also Nyaya, they argue with this, they don't admit this, Nyayikas. They say, what is their objection? They say that even without admitting an imperceptible potency, we can solve this difficulty by holding that a cause produces an effect in the absence of obstructions. They say, why admit any potency? I will say that the seed will grow into a plant when there is no obstruction. That is all. So why admit in something which you cannot see? The simple answer is that the cause will produce the effect in the absence of obstructions, and if the obstructions are there, it does not produce this effect. So the Mimamsakas say, you fellows think yourself to be very intelligent, but you are also saying the same thing, because you are also admitting that for the cause to be the effect, something else is necessary, You are also saying that the cause to turn into an effect, something is necessary. According to you, that something is removal of the obstructions. Okay? According to us, that something is the potency which is in the seed or any other cause. So what is the difference? You are saying the same thing which we are saying. So in this way, it is very interesting that the way they argue. So Mimamsakas say, if you must suppose something, that there is something which is needed for the cause to become an effect, why not admit a positive entity? Why look at it from a negative view that obstructions are removed? We say the same thing, but we say that there is something positive, a positive potency in the seed, and because of that potency, that seed turns into a sprout or a tree or whatever. That is the thing. So this is the way they explain that. So what is force? What is Shakti? How can you define it? Shakti or force is the imperceptible energy which produces an effect. In simple words, that is the definition. So according to, they have Mimamsakas have a list of all the things which can produce an effect. Not everything can produce an effect. So what are those things? Those things are substance, qualities, actions, and generalities. We won't go into all the detail of those things. So these four, substances, qualities, actions, and generalities, are regarded as the cause of effects. They can produce effects only by virtue of the potency or force which is in them. That is the thing. So Shakti or force is the common name given to that by virtue of which substances, qualities, actions, and generalities come to be regarded as the cause of things. We cannot see this Shakti. So how do we know it is present? We know it's from the effect. When we see that a seed which we had planted grows into a sprout, from that we know that that potency has to be there. So potency or force is inherent in all things, and is the cause of the if the is the cause of the cause being turned into an effect. That is the thing. So there is some imperceptible force in the fire by virtue of it burns, by virtue of it which burns, and there is a force in the seed by virtue of which it turns into a tree. That is the thing. So this is the concept of Shakti. So there is something in all objects which are regarded as causes by virtue of which they can produce their effect. And if they are deprived of that potency, they cannot produce that effect. This imperceptible something is called potency or force or Shakti. That is the thing. So, I will just share an image, just written down the points. So you can see Shakti or force, what it is. Imperceptible energy which produces an effect. It is inherent in all things. It can only be inferred from the effect. It is eternal in eternal things, like soul is eternal according to the Mimamsakas. So that Shakti of the soul is also eternal. And in things which are not eternal, that Shakti also is transient. So now we will go to the principle which follows from this theory of Shakti. So what is the application of this theory of Shakti or potency? It is that it is very important to give the solution of the problem of how an action like a sacrifice performed now bears fruit after a long time. Say after this life or heaven, etc., when the action has ceased. I do the sacrifice, action has ceased. How can it produce an effect after 20 years? How to explain that? We can explain that only on this theory of Shakti. So what follows from that? It is held that rituals performed here on this earth, they generate in the soul of the performer. If I perform a ritual, by that performance, what will happen? In my soul, there will be generated a Shakti or potency, which is the power for generating the fruit of the action. It is just like something like a bank balance. You earn some money, but don't enjoy it now. You keep it in your bank. So you have that money in the bank, you have that power. Now when the proper time comes, you take it out, not before. So here also, when we are performing some ritual, we are as if storing something in the bank by virtue of the Shakti which is produced in us by the performance of the ritual. If that Shakti was not there, then we could get nothing in future. That is the thing. So we will see that the theory which follows, the theory of Apurva, is a limited hypothesis which tries to explain a part of the general problem of what? Of conservation of the fruits of all actions. Otherwise, we will say that, oh, I have performed an action, bad, good, finished. Why bother about it? I have lied, I have cheated, I have robbed people, no problem. Nothing can come to me now. I was not caught by the police then, so now I am free. But no, there is a bigger policeman. That is the law of karma. So they say that whatever you do, good or bad, if you embezzle funds from a bank, you will be caught. And if you deposit funds, you will enjoy it later. Both are yours. There is no escape. So this law, Apurva, follows from this theory of Shakti. We will see how. So now we come to the next part, which is called the theory of Apurva. So we have seen that the acts, vidhis, it is called vidhi, the commandments of the Vedas, enjoined by the Vedas, they lead to the attainment of their fruits. If you do this yaga, Swarga Kamo Yajeta, those who desire Swarga should perform sacrifices. They promise you. They promise you that fruit. There is yaga for practically everything. If you are not having rains, there is a yaga. If there is a barren you do this, the rains will come. If you want a son, you do the putreshti yagya. You will get a son. Everything you can get by the power of sacrifice, according to the Vedic these vidhis. So one sacrifice is there, Jyotishtoma Yaga. If you perform that, it will lead to happiness in heaven. It is said. So now the enjoined act, it is performed today maybe, and the fruition of that act follows much later, maybe 20 years, 30 years, who knows, when I die, when we all die. So what is the connection? How is that act which I performed today and the heaven which I get 30 years later, how are they connected? There has to be some link. Otherwise, how is it that one act performed here, it will provide its food after so long a time? The connection is Apurva. The performance of these acts generates an unseen Apurva which gives their fruits at a later time. So the deferred fruition of prescribed duties is due to the mediation of Apurva only. That is the connecting link. The connection between an act performed today and the fruits which we will get many years later is possible only through the medium of this unseen agency. Otherwise, there is nothing to connect them. So the hypothesis of Apurva removes the apparent inconsistency between the performance of a prescribed sacrifice at one time and the attainment of heaven at a later time. That is the thing. So to quote Dr. Ganganath Jha, I don't know whether you have heard his name, he was one of the greatest Sanskrit scholars which India has produced. Dr. Ganganath Jha. The works he has translated, unthinkable. This whole Mimamsa Sutras with the commentary of Shabara Swami This is one of his works. He has translated the whole thing. Unbelievable genius this great scholar had. So he says, to quote him, that how are these connected? The sacrifice today and the fruits maybe after so many years. He says that this can be explained only by the hypothesis that a sacrifice on its completion produces directly a certain potency in the sacrificer. That potency resides in him throughout his life, and at the end of that, it leads him to heaven. Without such intervening potency, the causal relation between these two, yaga performed today and the fruits after many years, it cannot be explained. What is this inconsistency? Why cannot it be explained? Why can't it be said that if I perform something today, I will get the fruits 30 years later? Why not? So, what is the exact difficulty we will see in philosophical terms? The exact difficulty in accepting the cause-effect relationship between a yaga performed today and the fruits which we'll get later, maybe after many years. What is yaga? Yaga or yajna, it is defined as an offering, an oblation in the fire with reference to some devta, devi or devta, some deity. We offer this to Agni, we offer this to Vayu, we offer this to Indra, Indraya Swaha. What do we say? When we perform Homa in Belur Math or other centers, what do we say? When we Thakur's birthday, what do we say? Ram Krishnaya Swaha. So we offer this to any deity, Ram Krishna or any other deity. Now, this offering is an action. Okay? Any action is momentary. No action can last forever. There cannot be any action which will go on to eternity. So, if action is momentary, the yaga, which is the performance through that action, that is also momentary. Like the action, the yaga will also cease, finished, over. So the result of that yaga, such as heaven, etc., would occur very late when the yaga does not exist anymore. But what does the law of cause and effect say? That it says that to produce the effect, it is required that the cause should be present before the effect and also at the time when it is produced. Now, if I want to construct this house, this is made of wood. So before I start construction, the wood has to be there, no? And when I'm making this house, shall I leave the wood in my home and come to build this house? When I build this, the cause should be here in front of me. Otherwise, how can I build the house from that cause? So this is the law of cause and effect, that when the cause is turned into effect, before that change, the cause should be there. And when the transformation is there, the cause should be present. I will not cut wood now and build a house 40 years later with that. The wood won't be there. So these two are necessary. So both the cause and the effect should be co-located, it should be at the same location. Otherwise, the cause cannot be turned into an effect. There is no exception in the world. To show the co-location of the cause and the effect in the present case, there are two options. Now, if we say that yaga is performed, heaven is attained, if we say that the cause and effect are together here, then the yaga has to continue till that effect is produced. I will go on doing the sacrifice till I die. That is one thing. Or it should be accepted that even if when the sacrifice is over, it produces the effect. But both are illogical. They are not happening. I am not doing this sacrifice till I die. I do this today for one day and finished. So both these options are not acceptable. So how to solve? We solve this problem through Apurva. The concept of Apurva. What does it say? The argument is that the sacrifice, no doubt, it's over after it is performed, it is finished. But it produces something before being over. That is the thing. This something, this potency, this Shakti which the sacrifice produces is called Apurva. What does the word Apurva mean? Purva means before. Apurva means which was not before. So before I performed the sacrifice, that potency was not there in my soul. Apurva, which was not there before. Only after performing that and finishing that, if I stop midway or if I make any mistake, that Apurva is not generated. So it is said that in the sacrifice there was the exact terms I have forgotten. It was said that a sacrifice was made to get a demon. All those things used to come from the sacrificial, this Havan Kunda, it says that. Even Draupadi came from that. Draupadi and her brother Drishtadumna. It is said in the Mahabharata, of course, all stories. So it is said that there was a sacrifice to get a demon which will kill Vrittasura, which will kill Indra, something like that. So he made a mistake in chanting the mantras. So instead of the demon killing Indra, that meant that the Indra should kill that demon. So the whole effect of the sacrifice was opposite. So here also, if we don't complete the sacrifice as mentioned, that potency will not be generated. That is the thing. So this potency is given the name Apurva. So what is Apurva? How to define Apurva? The potency which was absent before the performance of the sacrifice and which is produced after the complete performance of the sacrifice or any act, any Vedic act, is called Apurva. This is a potency, unseen potency, which is generated in the soul. Mind you, this potency is not generated in the sacrifice. If it was generated in the sacrifice, then it would be finished when the sacrifice was over. So the only thing which will remain is the soul, because the soul is eternal according to Mimamsa. So that is why that potency is generated in the soul, and that leads to the attainment of the desired result, whatever it may be. If it is a heaven or anything, and some yagas give the result when we are living. If we want a son, if we perform the Putrishti sacrifice, it will not serve my purpose if I cannot get a son after I die. So only while I am alive I can get a son, no? And if we perform a sacrifice for rains, it will not help me if I get rains after I die. So some sacrifices give the result while we are alive. That is also there. So another important point, this is about Apurva. Another important point to note is that we generally what we think, that we give Indra something, we give Varuna something, Indra will be pleased. What happened in the case of Krishna, when the whole village of Krishna used to perform sacrifices in praise of Indra. They used to pour oblations for Indra. Krishna said, no, not necessary to do that any longer. You worship Govardhana. So Indra got angry because those things which were coming to him did not come. So what do we think? That deities to whom these sacrifices are offered, they give us this reward. But that is not the view of the Mimamsakas, mind you. Mimamsaka does not admit that the deities will give reward or even God will give reward. There is no need of God at all. So according to the Mimamsakas, the intervention of God or deities is not at all necessary for the sacrifice to produce its effect. Apurva is the only thing which is required. That's all. They say that potency will give the effect. Why admit the existence of God or any other deity? So, it is just another form of the law of karma. So, this unseen agency or Apurva is the intermediate link. That is the link which connects the performance of Vedic acts here and maybe the attainment of heaven after death. So it is not at all complex, it is very, very simple. So I'll just show a chart and then we can end today. I'll just share this. You can see here the fundamental points. So all these things which we have discussed today are listed here. Acts are enjoined with a view to their fruits. That is natural. We do something only to get something. So there is a connection between the acts and the result. Otherwise, how will the act produce the result? Act performed today cannot affect a result at some future date unless it gives rise to some unseen result today. So Jaimini assumes the existence of such an unseen force which he calls Apurva. Such sacrifices and the like are laid down for the purpose of a definite result to follow after a long time. The deferred fruition of the action is not possible unless it is through the medium of Apurva. So Apurva is the metaphysical link between the work and its result. And last of all, Mimamsakas don't admit that the results are given by God or any other deity. They say that this Apurva is absolutely sufficient. We don't need anything else at all. So this is about this important concept, and we will need only one more discussion for completing our discussion of Purva Mimamsa. So we will discuss what is the Purva Mimamsa concept of liberation and how does Purva Mimamsa view God. What does it say about the existence of God? So that is a very interesting point Mimamsakas gives to disprove the existence of God. But there was a change later on. Some Mimamsakas brought in. They found that we cannot do without God. But the first work of this philosophy, the Sutras of Jaimini, does not even mention God. There is no mention at all. Anyway, it is a very simple discussion, but I think you will find it interesting. So with that, we will have discussed all the important points which are needed to understand this. There are many details which we need not go into, and not possible also. And after that, we can take up the introduction to Vedanta. But epistemology I will leave for later, because we have to do a separate, it is such a specialized subject that if I introduce epistemology here, then it will be difficult to grasp. So we will do a separate, maybe sometime later. So let us stop here today. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna